Hello, everyone. My name is Wolfman Sam, with my partner here, Johnny Buff Guns, and we are Creatures of the Night.
Hello, everyone. Creatures of the Night. To start this podcast, I'd like to talk about... Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say what you were going to say. We're going to go into Pulp Fiction today.
Yes, because this year marks the 30th anniversary of Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, and what better way to start off this podcast by talking about Pulp Fiction. And also, to mark the occasion, I'm wearing a Pulp Fiction t-shirt. Just shows my true fan dedication.
Yep. You're a bigger fan than I am, so I'm going to let John take the lead on this issue.
Right.
So if you
I think Pulp Fiction is definitely... Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
we're off to a rocky start. Anyway,
we are not professionals, okay? But John, you want to go ahead?
Anyway, yes. Pulp Fiction is probably probably between this and Jackie Brown is my two favorite of the Tarantino films. And I like how it's told a non-linear story where it doesn't go in chronological order. It starts off with a Bonnie and Clyde at a diner type, and they talk about robbing the diner. Then all of a sudden it cuts going backwards where we see Sam Jackson and John Travolta's character are doing some dirty work for their boss Marsalis, Ving Rhymes. Then it cuts to it's there's so many it's you could definitely say it's a semi anthology type of film, and also there's it's also a film that leads you with a lot of questions about what was in that briefcase in Pulp Fiction and stuff. And I like the conversation that Jules has with Vincent about his trip to Amsterdam, how it's so different over there in Amsterdam than here is in America, and also about McDonald's Amsterdam, how they put mayonnaise on French fries instead of ketchup. Yuck. I like mayonnaise, but not on French fries. Instead of calling it the Big Mac, they call it La Big Mac. It has one of my favorite lines in the movie that you all know, that you're probably familiar with, you never saw this movie. Do you know what they call a quarter pounder cheese in France? A Royale with cheese. The burger conversation makes me want to eat a cheeseburger anytime I watch this movie. Vincent explains to Jules how they have the metric system in Europe. I like Jules' line, this is a tasty burger, and that the burger's from Big Kahuna Burger. Can I wash it down with your beverage? It also has great performances like John Travolta, Sam Jackson, and also Bruce Willis too does a great job. Yes, Christopher Walken, despite it's only a small a watch up his ass.
It's a cameo. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'd just like to talk about some of the theories that people say about Pulp Fiction. People say that that in the briefcase apparently is Marcellus Wallace. Marcellus Wallace, for those of you that don't know, is the main villain. People say that that's Marcellus Wallace's soul. So I'm not entirely sure what that.
I've heard that too.
There's been theories. I'm not too much into the movie. I like the movie. The movie's good, but John here is more into the movie. And I also wanted to touch upon I don't know if there's a comic or a source material it's based off of. I was actually looking at this the other day because I swear that some reviewer, I don't know the name of the reviewer, had said something to the effect that the movie is based off of a comic. The only thing I could find was a pulp novel from the 30s called Black Mask, not to be confused with Black Mask from Batman. Different Black Mask. It was a pulp magazine. If for those of you that don't know what pulp is, they're short stories. It was a short story magazine from the 30s and 40s, and people say that it's based off of that. I don't know specifically, but knowing Quentin Tarantino and knowing his love of old things, it probably is.
Yeah, I know that scene when they open up the briefcase was inspired from a film, but the movie, it escapes me. I'll probably just look at I'll just look at this picture as I edit this video.
The
movie that inspired the briefcase scene from Pulp Fiction was from a 1955 film noir film called Kiss Me Deadly, directed by Robert Aldrich.
And to go into Quentin Tarantino, there's a lot of movies that he either referenced or ripped off, honestly.
Yeah,
There's a movie called Switchblade Sisters where basically he, for one of the characters who has an eye patch, he basically ripped or was inspired by her appearance with the eye patch. And I believe the character's name in the Switchblade Sisters was eye patch, I believe it was. But, he for lack of a better term, is a little bit of a hipster, in terms of, he likes old films, he likes that film grain, he likes that grindhouse. Listen, it's not my cup of tea. It's, I like a little bit less self-aware film, a little less self-aware films, but, if you guys like it, of course, everyone has their own opinion.
Yeah, true. Also, I like, as I said before, I love the performance of this film. I love, like the dialogue, how, like, it grabs your attention, like how when John Travolta and Sam Jackson are talking about, Amsterdam, the burgers, and
right.
Also, I also like how, like, when he takes Uma Thurman's character to, like, out to a diner, having a good time while her husband's away on business. They're talking about like, why did they kill that guy earlier? And it had nothing to do with his wife. There's, like, no explanation, like, why they were killing that person. Whether it could have been, like, something went wrong in a deal or something. Again, there's no, like, you can basically interpret it the way you want to interpret that scene.
And if you're paying attention to this film, you can kind of put things together. Like I said, it's meant to be put together. It's all out of order, and that reason. Everyone has their headcanon of what happened first or what happened. I think there is a particular way the story has to be presented, but everyone's got their own opinion.
I always imagine, like, how this film would look like if it was, like, watched in order. If, like, it did not start with the diner scene. Maybe this movie would have started with just
it would probably
Vincent and Sam Jackson's character.
It would probably end with and again,
Bruce Willis.
We're giving spoilers to a 20, almost.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen the film, stop it right here.
If you haven't seen it, you'll see it because we're spoiling it all over. But it would probably end with Bruce Willis' scene because Vincent Vega, John Travolta's character, dies. So it probably would end with Bruce Willis's scene. And the diner
when he takes off with his girlfriend way out of her way.
But anyway.
It's funny, like, you wearing that Daredevil shirt. I'm thinking about how, like, Bruce Willis's character was supposed to throw the fight, but he ends up winning. And I'm thinking a little bit Daredevil, like Murdoch's spot, even though this is different.
A little bit Daredevil, a little bit Raging Bull.
A little bit.
Tarantino wears his influences on his sleeve. And if you know a lot of grindhouse movies, a lot of exploitation movies from the 70s, you'd be like, oh, okay, he got it from this. And that's partly personally for me kind of ruined his films because it was like, oh, he just kind of ripped it all off. But
right. In some ways, you can think of, like, Pulp Fiction as, like, a modern, like, 90s, like, grindhouse exploitation for the time.
And that's kind of the vibe he wants to go. I mean, it's up there with Robert Rodriguez's Machete series, which I could take care of. I like that. I actually own the film.
Machete. That was
incidentally.
Same. I saw that in the theaters when it came out.
Yeah, me too. It was a good film.
Yeah. And also, I want to touch upon, too, about how with Bruce Willis's character, just like after throwing the fight, when he thinks he's about to, get away safely, but his girlfriend did not bring the watch that his, that Christopher Walken gave that belonged to his father. That was an important, like, piece and relic of his dad's, like, memory, because his dad died during the war. And like, just when, like, he spots Marcellus on the street, runs him over. Marcellus is, like, trying to get up, struggling to kill him, but then they're trapped with these crazy, like, low-life nut jobs who were have a Gambit's like, oh my god, it's just like insane and crazy.
Yeah, these sort of
like what's like how the hell did they get there? How did they?
Which I gotta just point this out. For those of you that love The Mask with Jim Carrey, that one of those actors. Forget the name of him.
I know you're talking about,
but he's also in The Mask. One of those hillbilly.
Yes, he was the bad guy. Yes. He was like the gangster of The Mask. Yes, yep. I know what you're talking about. The guy, he just
I forget his name. It escapes me. But I have to talk about there's one pet peeve I have to talk about. It's always bothered me with Pulp Fiction. It has had probably the weirdest moments in film.
Yes.
Yes. We talk about the conversations and how like normal they are, but some of the conversations are kind of out of left field. Like the foot massage conversation, which no allusion to Quentin Tarantino.
Yes.
To Quentin Tarantino's foot fetish. You know, he has a thing for feet. He does. It's an open secret. I'm sorry to ruin the film for you, but for those of you that don't know, he wrote himself in Dusk Till Dawn to basically get himself a foot job. He's gross. Okay? He's gross. Quentin Tarantino as a person is gross. So he's got to stop with the foot fetish.
Right.
Every time there's a shot of a woman's feet. It's always women's feet. It's always bothered me. Anyway, there's that. There's the pot belly conversation with the wife. Remember the wife?
Yes.
She's like, oh, and it's just weird.
Yeah.
So in between, like,
it is
weirdness. So I have to talk about that because I don't know if people ever touched on just how weird that this movie is.
Well, that's the point of this, of having a part of this. You're giving your own personal opinion, what you think of Pulp Fiction. You have a good point there. Yeah, you're right. that was, like you said, Pulp, he seems to have a fetish for feet. Did you ever see Mr. Deeds?
Yes, I have.
As a spoof and a joke and a meme. I like John Turturro's character. I like feet.
Yeah, that's essentially Quentin Tarantino.
Right.
Every single film he's ever done. Every single film he's ever done. Especially if it had Uma Thurman.
I guess I never...
Yeah, you don't pay attention to it.
I still haven't seen the Kill Bill yet.
You don't pay attention to it.
Yeah. I guess...
but, thinking back and knowing what I know about Quentin personally, it's like, oh my God. Yeah. He literally wrote him. He made it so obvious. He wrote himself, because in Dusk Till Dawn, he plays a serial killer. He wrote himself to get a foot job in a strip club. I think it was Salma Hayek. So it's like
the titty bar.
It's like,
titty twister.
Yeah, it's just the dude is weird. You could like his films.
That's a lot of everybody in Hollywood. It can be weird,
but it's just. One of those things I gotta address the elephant in the room,
Right.
But I like the film. Okay.
Another elephant room to address about Quentin Tarantino is his acting in this movie. He sucks. Quentin Tarantino can't act. Let's just say you'll never see Quentin Tarantino do Shakespeare in the Park. His pitch delivery is god awful.
The film is okay. In terms of Quentin Tarantino films I didn't like. I'd say I like Kill Bill 1 and 2, okay, but in terms of Reservoir Dogs didn't do anything for me.
That's a good one.
And Dusk Till Dawn did not do anything for me. Did not do anything.
Oh, really? I actually like that one.
I tried. I was like, I should like this film. It's got vampires. It's got vampire rockstars. It's got Danny Trejo. It's got Salma Hayek
and Fred Williamson.
Right. George Clooney. Blah, blah, blah,
I get it.
I should.
I get it. A good all-star cast. I get it. A good all-star cast, but sometimes not always ahead. Sometimes it has its misses. Sometimes I get.
And everybody's got their own opinion. Like I said, just because I don't like this film doesn't mean you're like, we don't
Right.
want hate. Well,
Well,
we're probably going to
that-
get hate. We're probably going to be like, we're probably going to
Yes.
get all time hate. You suck. You don't know what good films are. Whatever. Everyone's
Well,
got their
sorry guys, my friend. Regardless of what you think of my friend's opinion, he has his rights and reasons for whether he likes the film, but has his mixed opinions about it.
Yeah,
But still, I'm still happy to
sometimes that
have the
happens.
award for this. Though.
Sometimes that happens with films.
Yep.
But,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Many times.
Anyway, speaking of films, I figured.
Not to get the funny part is, I noted that some people either like Pulp Fiction or like it's either one or the other, which one they like prefer better or something. But I guess it really depends on the person's taste and the individual what they like fiction or Reservoir.
But only
same.
mildly. Only mildly. There are people that love Pulp Fiction. See
right.
See across from me. I'm pointing this way, but I'm trying to go this way. But all right. But anyway, I was going to go into.
And also, there's one more thing too I want to touch upon too about John Travolta when he takes out Uma Thurman's character to the 1950s diner. It was almost basically a night of like where it was fun, but then it almost ended in hell for him because if she died, Marcellus probably would have killed him because of how she almost died of an OD drug overdose.
And that, kids, is why I don't do drugs. Well, that and the Basketball Diaries.
Yeah. And I have to touch upon something very important for the John Travolta fans. This Pulp Fiction was his comeback movie.
Right.
John Travolta did a lot of flops, and this was like his big comeback movie. So, this did a lot for him.
When Vincent and me are dancing at the 50s diner, because of John Travolta's background in dancing from Grease and Saturday Night Fever, this is one of the reasons why Quentin Tarantino picked him for the part in this movie, because he wanted to shoot a dance sequence with John Travolta in this movie. This is an easy distraction. It's not noticeable on a first view, but on multiple viewings. It's hinted that she did not win the trophy at the dance competition at the 50s Diner Cafe. After losing the competition, it's hinted that she stole the trophy.
Right. With you saying about John Travolta, like had a few flops and Pulp Fiction was a comeback, believe it or not, this is going to surprise you. I don't know if you may or may not know this, but he turned down Forrest Gump to do Pulp Fiction, and he said that was the biggest regret, turning down Forrest Gump, because Tom Hanks won the Academy Award for Forrest Gump. Well, obviously, it's...
Right. And I really, I like John Travolta just fine, but I really couldn't see him doing that role.
Me too.
I really couldn't.
No, me neither. Although he did a film called, he did a film called,
you keep cutting out.
Phenomena, if I'm saying it right. Sorry.
Phenomena?
Phenomena or something like that. It's like he plays a guy who was like an average guy. Then after when this UFO passes him, he starts to become smart, intelligent, even though it's not Forrest Gump, but it's almost close to a...
similar. It's almost like a Rayman kind of thing.
Similar. Somewhat to a degree. Yeah, I like John Travolta. He's really a good actor. You just give him the right script, he can pull it off, John Travolta.
Yeah.
I guess another thing I want to touch upon with Pulp Fiction too is how Bruce Willis saves Marcellus when he was being raped by that guy. When Marcellus was about to try to kill him, but it was in a weird way, like a weird redemption of where he lets him go rather than killing him for throwing the fight.
Yeah, it's sort of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So there was sort of this.
Yeah, exactly. It's a weird complex
partnership between two guys that
definitely
hate each other. And I have to talk about was it Viggo Mortensen who's in that movie? Is that right?
No. I think it was Tim Roth. I think you're thinking
Tim Roth, the drug dealer. I'm referring to.
Oh no, that's Eric Stoltz.
Eric Stoltz. Sorry. Feel free to yell at me in the comments.
Just remember
Eric Stoltz. Okay. Eric Stoltz. I don't know why I was thinking. You know why I was thinking of Viggo Mortensen? Because they were both in The Prophecy together. That's why.
Okay. Okay, that's
and again, that's
I,
also
so
a
is
movie
Christopher Walken.
yeah, that's also a movie with Christopher Walken. So feel
Yes,
free to write your
yes.
fan fiction about how Pulp Fiction is connected to the prophecy, and there's a movie in there somewhere. Um, but
like the
Eric
Into the
Stoltz,
Spider Universe.
yeah, Eric Stoltz, I have to talk about because he's a very underrated actor, and he's
Yeah.
pretty good in Pulp Fiction, even
Yeah,
though he's in
he is.
for a short but important scene.
Yes,
But anyway,
he's the drug dealer that gets the drugs for Uma.
yep, Uma Thurman, who almost dies, but we've already touched
Yeah.
on that.
We did.
Is there
And
anything?
also,
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
there's
The Bruce Willis story?
there is a little brief thing. They mentioned how like her character was in a pilot. I guess she was like an actress, and when she explains what the show is about, I'm thinking it sounds like a Charlie's Angel. Like it was a Charlie's Angel's not.
Yeah. His little the Foxy Five, the in-universe pilot she talked about. Was obviously to Charlie's Angels, which again,
right, absolutely
loves his old TV, which nothing wrong with that.
He mentioned Kung Fu in the show
no surprise that in Kill Bill he cast Dave Carradine as the main villain, but again, sound like a broken record. But anyway,
so he loves and here's one more thing I want to touch about Pulp Fiction though is like Sam Jackson's character after when he was almost shot and killed, it was like an epiphany moment where he wants to like leave being like a gangster and leave doing dirty work like that.
He has a quote unquote come to Jesus moment where he kind of
yes.
I forgot to mention his over-the-top performance in this movie that was probably intentional. This is probably one of my favorite Samuel Jackson moment in movies, right up there with Snakes on a Plane. I've had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane. When he intimidates, scares Frank Wally's character, asking questions about Marcellus. What does he look like? He keeps saying, like, what? Say what again? I double dare, motherfucker. I never heard of a country know what? Do they speak English in this country? What does Marcellus look like? He's black. Does he look like a bitch? What? Boom, shoots him.
Even though like Travolta is not supportive of his like decision to leave.
At first, it was looking ugly for Jules and Vincent when Vincent accidentally shot Phil Lamar's character. Harvey Keitel saves their life and clears up all the evidence that nothing ever happened. At the diner, Jules gives Tim Roth's character a business proposition where, instead of stealing other people's money, he gives him a wallet loaded with money in it. This was Jules doing a good deed.
Yeah, and that's a kind of I wouldn't say a theme, but between Bruce Willis's character and Sam Jackson's character, I would say it's probably a theme of sort of kind of redemption.
It is. It is redemption for his character.
Also, I figured I'd touch upon Futurama fans.
The guy, the guy who they shoot by accident. What? Yes, Phil with the voice of Green Lantern and Samurai Jack.
Yeah, voice of Green Lantern, Samurai Jack, and about half the black characters in 90s TV show. Static Shock, pick your poison. Yes. He's everywhere.
Yes, that's true. He was also in Step Brothers, but for a brief second, though.
Yeah,
and two, but again, brief second though, just a 5-second cameo.
Yeah, he's sort of the cameo king. If there's a voice that needs to be done, you can always count on Phil. I love him in Mad TV. Yes. I've always loved him in Mad TV.
Yeah,
but
right.
But yeah,
speaking of Mad TV, did you ever see the parody to it with Pulp Fiction, Gump Fiction?
Yes, the Gump Fiction. Yes, yep. Yeah,
you gotta admit that's funny though.
Yep, that is funny. That is funny.
Yeah.
Sure. But
I just mentioned how that Travolta turned down Forrest Gump to do Pulp Fiction,
and I think
a parody guy to do.
I think that was the joke. Pulp Fiction style. I think that was the joke. But anyway, so is there anything we're missing out on Pulp Fiction here?
No, I think we really covered about just about everything with Pulp Fiction that just came to mind. If there's anything
I
else
mean,
you guys want to talk about Pulp Fiction, let us know in the comments.
I have a recommendation. Another one of Sammy's recommendations for a horror film.
Just don't drink and drive while doing this.
Yeah, over the weekend I had seen a film called Freeway with Reese Witherspoon. Great horror film about a troubled teen in the South. It's on Shudder, and again, we're not sponsored by Shudder. This is not a Shudder sponsorship. But it's, if you're into like sort of the teen, and I say teen, but it's not really a teen movie in a traditional sense. She plays a psychopath, and she comes from a troubled family, and what she thinks is a hitchhiking relationship with a stranger kind of turns sour. And that's all I'm going to give the audience, for those of you that have not seen it, because I don't want to spoil it for you guys. It's best to go in blind, because I think this movie, if you're looking for hidden gems, if you're like, I'm looking for something different, something a little bit more violent, Freeway is definitely something you can look up. It's from the 90s. It's a 90s horror film, and it's Reese Witherspoon, so and she does a good job. But anyways, I just wanted to insert that, and we've talked about this off the record, but probably what's going to be an upcoming video on this podcast. I don't know if it's going to be next episode or the episode following. We'll decide on that. But one of the things we would love to talk about, probably would maybe need a full video, depending on how much in depth we're going to go into. But movies that never were, movie scripts that were. It probably is going to be mostly horror movies. We had talked about Ash versus Freddy versus Jason. There's a comic book
Ash
based on that, but there was never a movie based on that. And we're probably going to talk about that. But so that might be an upcoming episode, just to keep you guys in the loop. Whenever that happens. And again, I apologize if we don't upload on the regular. We do this when we feel like doing this. So those of you that have been waiting, sorry to say, we do this when we feel like doing this, because it takes a lot of energy, believe it or not.
Yeah. Oh yeah, believe me, there's a lot of like stuff with like the editing where I have to like maybe add photos, and also like the intro, or especially if I changed
for those
intros,
of you
because like
for those of you that don't know, John here is also my editor, so he has to edit this down and insert all types of editing things. So he's basically got two jobs.
The other days I work in the post office. Ha!
Yeah. He is my co-host, the guy that I keep conversations up with, and also my editor. So, that's the other thing is why these videos take a long time. They have to be edited down, or edited up.
And also on the side, I'm doing some like side YouTube project. I'm going to be doing a Halloween franchise. We'll talk about the first one, the sequels, and
for those of you that are looking for more movie reviews, because I myself aren't really doing movie reviews on my own, check out Mr. Johnny Buff Gunn's channel right here, or I'm pointing to his direction.
Or I'll put something in there.
But check out his channel if you're looking for additional movie reviews. He's very sharp on the movie reviews, and
thanks. I do my best.
Without him, I don't think it would be as entertaining to just see me, because I could talk to you guys, but I ramble.
Right. Well, it's always good to have a partner in crime. My brother from another mother.
Yes. We go way back personally. We've known each other since high school. Yep.
Yes, it does. Just like Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell.
I know. Well, that's the thing. Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell, for those of you that don't know, were college buddies. And there
Yes.
is an early version of Evil Dead called Within the Woods. And I think
Yeah, I
it's
heard about
79. You could find it on YouTube. I don't know if it's still available, but for those of the
You can,
diehard
but I
Evil Dead
tried watching
fans,
it.
it's
I tried watching it.
it's very bare bones. It's a college film from
Yeah.
the late 70s. So it's
Right.
got grainy cameras. It's grungy as all
Yeah.
it could be, but that's okay. That's okay. People have to
Right.
start somewhere.
Yeah, it was. I
You
see
know,
that like that was his
Sam-
first. I see that
Yeah.
was like the first thing he did of like before Evil Dead, but it was hard
Yeah.
to tell what was like. I was watching it on YouTube, but I couldn't tell what was going on.
Yeah,
because
it's
the grainy
it's
was
very
low budget.
shoddy VHS quality. It's very, very shoddy.
Yeah.
But for Evil Dead historians and for lovers of Sam Raimi, myself included,
Me too.
it's a nice little gem, and I think it should be preserved, and I think it should be definitely watched for future generations.
I think
because
what I've heard, from my friend about how like with Evil Dead Within the Woods, there's been like some kind of like legal like rights issue with like how like Raimi is not releasing.
Yeah, and that's the reason why that for those of you who've seen Evil Dead 2 and are like, this is kind of a remake of the first one, or at least the first half, right?
Somewhat.
And that's because for a little insight, Evil Dead, they did not have the rights to. They lost the rights.
Right.
So when they had to do the second one, they, for lack of a better term, had to basically remake the first one.
Right.
So that's why usually when I watch the Evil Dead movies back to back, I usually, nothing wrong with the first one. I love the first.
Me too.
Great.
Me too.
But for continuity, I usually start with the second one and then go to Army of Darkness.
Right.
Because continuity, the first half of Evil Dead 2 is literally the second movie with a different cast.
Yeah.
For the most part, sans Bruce Campbell. Bruce Campbell was in both.
Yeah. When I first saw Evil Dead 2, I didn't really think, for some reason, I don't know why, I didn't give it much of a thought that it was a semi-reboot. I just thought it was really like a follow-up in the first movie because of how, like, where it opens up with a brief recap with different actors and Bruce Campbell. Then it, like, the camera's, like, shoving at Bruce Campbell. Bruce Campbell's flying away from whatever is chasing him.
Yep. Definitely one of my favorite tricks in film. And how they did it was really, really simple. They had a camera on a dolly. A dolly, is like a cart for those of you who don't know film.
Yeah.
But that's what they did is they put it on this little cart and they just had it roll and, kind of run on its own. They had somebody push. But it's a simple effect, but very effective. But yeah, Evil Dead, not to turn this into an Evil Dead retrospective, but Evil Dead is definitely
a feature one down the road, maybe.
Horror.
Right.
But
when I saw Evil Dead, when I saw Evil Dead 2, I was surprised that it was like more on the comedy side. First, I'm thinking, okay, another real scary one. But like, oh, this is actually comedy. It's meant to be be a
it's
comedy.
a little more lighthearted than the first one. First one is straight horror.
Yes, very straight horror, very scary. Like oh man, I remember like first watching it with my dad in high school when I was a senior. I'm like, holy shit. And I'm thinking this guy directed Spider-Man 20 years later.
Yep. No, it goes to show you got to start somewhere. A lot of famous directors start in horror movies, True. But to just hammer my point home with Evil Dead, going back to that film, Evil Dead, I definitely appreciate the effects more. They're a little dated, but they're all, as I say, and I'm always championing this, they're all practical effects. And I think some early stop motion.
Yeah, I know. I was like, wow. Yeah.
Yep.
My first thought was like when my dad told me that Sam Raimi was a college student at the time making this. I'm like, this is very impressive for a 20-something-year-old college student for the
It
time.
goes to show you that you don't need that Hollywood budget to
Right.
make your film. If you have a good idea and you know how to
Right.
do it, doesn't really matter. If you can make
Right.
something look good for very less, go do it. That's what I say to
Right.
any creator. Because really, I'm looking forward to this new generation of film. I know that there's going to be more independent creators. Hollywood is going to die.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on it because there's going to be more independent coming out of the woodwork, and they're going to be the ones, you guys watching this, maybe, hopefully. I'm
I
hoping
hope so.
that you'll be inspired to make the films you want to make, and they'll
Right.
inspire more people, because that's partly our goal in this
Well,
podcast here. We
here's
talk about things we love.
I watched an interview of Sam Raimi at like a convention. His advice to young filmmakers, even if you're not Hollywood, is make a movie way, not necessarily like make a like a full length, just like make like a simple like his advice is like girl
Right.
walks into a store, then the manager yells at the store clerk for not doing his or her job, that kind of thing. A simple like TikTok short in a way.
Right. And that's what I mean. It doesn't have to be this lengthy, epic, kind of, that's the other thing. Films today, they're like 2 hours long. A film doesn't have to be that.
Yeah.
If you have a good story,
No.
it could be a short story.
Yes.
And that's what I mean. Is be part of the Iron Age, my friends. Make your own stuff. Make the
Right.
stuff you want to see. And if someone tells you not to do it, ergo the Hollywood or whatever, big wigs or whatever, just go and do it. Don't let them stop you. Just go and make what you want to make, because, the louder they get, the more you're doing a good job. If they're
Right.
if they don't like what you do, you're doing a good job, and you just keep going. You just keep going.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, your product will come out and probably inspire, people like you and me that just want to see good films. Listen, I'm
And heck, I hope
I'm
to
so
be a
sick
part
of
of the indie crowd.
yeah, I'm so sick of films getting political or being political. Past tense.
Right.
I'm a guy that
Right.
likes to watch a movie that has a good story, sans politics. So,
Right.
and that's the
Right.
only political, thing we'll ever talk about. Any sort of illusion,
Yeah.
because we're
Right.
nerd first.
Yeah.
But, anyway, I'm sorry to get off on a rant here, but other things I want to talk about. Well, I had already mentioned my recommendation, and we had already talked about a possible upcoming podcast, or movies that should have, could have, would have been.
Right. Right.
I'd say
Gotcha.
we probably can talk about maybe Quentin Tarantino's movies as a whole.
I guess if you want, I guess, since I still haven't. I would say, but I still haven't seen the Kill Bill films, or it's been a while since I've
Right.
seen the Django. Maybe we'll do that future podcast. We'll do
Maybe
that.
we'll talk
Future.
about future. Yeah, all future podcasts.
Yeah, future podcast. Yeah, because I would
Don't
like to do
mind
some more
us, guys.
Tarantino like videos.
Yeah, don't mind us, guys. It's been a while, so we're a little rusty. So if we're
Yeah,
if
still a little
we're kind
behind
of
Tarantino.
kind of sort of we kind of lost the rhythm, because, like I said, we don't
Like
really do
I've
these
seen.
as much.
Right. I've seen Death Proof a few times. And it's I don't know.
I've
It's
never
like I can
seen
leave it
that.
with that
There's
movie.
to each his own. But
Yeah.
but yeah, in terms of things I want to talk about, I don't have much, because we went into this podcast kind of talking about Pulp Fiction. I was like, all right, I'll let you take the reins
Right.
on that. And
Right.
and I kind of talked about all I wanted to talk about, kind of today.
Right.
So,
Right.
is there
Fair enough.
anything
Fair
else?
enough.
Is there anything else you
I guess
you want to cover?
there's two things in my mind that I wanted to, like these recent horror films I saw. Like I saw Abigail. I saw
How was that?
oh yeah, I saw Late Night with it was not great or perfect, but it wasn't as bad as they made it out to be. I liked how it was sort of like, okay, it was like a combination where the film was serious and dramatic. Then it's like, okay, they had some corny jokes every now and then, but not as over the top with the jokes, like where they reference Anne Rice or Twilight, How to Kill a Vampire. Like, yeah, this sounds like something from the Scream movie would say that.
Right.
And I thought
And
I thought
go on.
I thought Melissa Barry did a pretty good job where she plays a character who's like a former junkie who's recovering, and she's trying to like redeem herself, trying to like, she thinks that she's getting paid to look after this little girl they kidnapped, but little does she know that, well, spoilers right here, she's a vampire, despite the marketing kind of ruin. Well, if they went the route where it was about a girl who was kidnapped, not knowing she was a vampire, already, then they would not have been like, I don't know. It's kind of like From Dusk Till Dawn to some degree with the marketing.
Yep. To add my 2 cents about it, now I haven't seen it, but it's funny when I have not seen it. Have not.
Okay, gotcha. You have.
But when I first heard about it, when I read the title, my music brain. Now I'm a pretty big King Diamond fan, and I don't know if you know who King Diamond is. But for those of you that do know King Diamond, when I heard Abigail, I was like, is this a King Diamond movie? I was like, yeah, that would be awesome, because King Diamond, for those of you that don't know, is sort of like a heavy metal Stephen King, where his music conceptually is usually about a horror story. So I got my hopes up with that, but it's good to know. Well, I guess it's kind of disappointing to know that no, it's not a King Diamond movie. I hope to see a King Diamond movie in the future. If any heavy metal musician needs to be a director, I think it's King Diamond.
Right.
Anyway, so you had mentioned Abigail, and you said Late Night with the Devil was the other one?
Yes, I did see that. That was actually, again, pretty good. It was like Blair Witch Project, like a little bit of King of Comedy about this late night talk show host who was like, he's trying to, like be better, rich, famous, and successful. But of course, it's like one of those, he sold his soul to the devil, and also like sold how, sorry, spoilers right here. His wife died from cancer, but basically he sacrificed. And it's like one of those things where his selling his soul and his sins are catching up to him.
Interesting. It kind of reminds me of the video game. It kind of reminds me of the video game Silent Hill. I don't know if
I've heard of that, but I've never played it.
Yeah, you should.
I know there was a movie. Actually, my sister said she saw that.
If there's any, I know you're not into video games, John, but if there's any video game series I think you should play, Silent Hill 1 and 2 at least. Both Silent Hill 1 and Silent Hill 2. Especially if you're a fan of Jacob's Ladder. It's basically very Jacob's Ladder inspired, and there's a lot of symbolism within the monsters. It's a great horror story, honestly, and I love the movie, even though they changed some things. And I do think there's going to be a sequel. I know there has been sequels, but none of the sequels kind of land. But there is going to be another sequel, which I'm excited for. That's going to be by the original director, which the original director has a sense of, he got the mood of Silent Hill, the look of Silent Hill. If you've seen the movie, it pretty much resembles the game. It pretty much resembles the atmosphere, the atmosphere of the game. But like I said, if there's any game I would recommend you play, Silent Hill 1 and 2. It's a fantastic, fantastic classic game, survival horror game, and it's great. But anyway, But
also, here's something else that I like to touch on. Yeah, Late Night with the Devil was definitely a pretty good one, even though despite the film was boycotted because they used AI in the movie. Despite the use of AI, it was still not a bad movie.
That's
Yeah.
why.
I
That's
can
why.
see why.
But I don't get that because that's like boycotting CGI. Now I say this as a lover
Yeah,
of
exactly.
practical effects. I love practical effects, but
Yeah,
AI, much
same.
like CGI, is just a tool for film. It's just a tool for film, and it's
Right,
you're gonna get those AI
right.
films, and in the beginning it's gonna be bad. You're gonna have some
Yeah.
bad
I
AI
think
films.
because I think because of like it was boycotted because the strike ended, and now like the concern is like, okay, are we going back on strike again because AI was
Yeah,
used in the movie?
Isn't doing too well. Uh,
No, there aren't,
no, but I say
and
more power to the future independent creators. You know,
right, right. It's also I want to.
Hollywood deserves the industry that they've got. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
they've just not to sound
yeah.
like Uber Ball here, but
Yeah, and
but
also recently, recently Roger Corman passed away. A man who like not only was a B movie director, the guy had a reputation for getting directors who were nobodies and making them successful filmmakers
right,
like
right,
Coppola, Lucas,
very,
Cameron, Jonathan Demme. The list goes
very, very
and Jack
important.
Nicholson.
Very important because the beginning of a director's life, everybody makes a B picture.
Yes,
It just happens.
yeah,
And you
it's
make
amazing. Like I never realized also that Roger Corman was in a lot of their films for like small cameos as saying thank you for getting my career started. Like Roger Corman was in Godfather, he was in Silence of the Lambs, and I'm trying to. But anyway, I'm sorry if I'm drawing a blank. What other films Corman was? You get the point though.
right, and sometimes that happens. Sometimes you in terms of making it, no one really makes it on their own entirely. You
No,
know,
well, unless you're Sam Raimi.
well, I'm sure Sam Raimi knew somebody that worked in the film business or whatever. You know, um, you know,
Probably
anybody needs help with something. Um, you
true.
know, and
That's very true.
and and Roger Corman is a testament to independent creators, and that you
Yeah,
don't shun the little guy because he doesn't have the big budget, or whatever. You know, it's important because everyone's got to start somewhere. And
true. I mean,
again, I sound like a broken record, but it's just to inspire you guys that maybe have doubts about your own creation or whatever. Don't think, oh, I should put that script away because it's not good, or that novel I'm working on, it's not good. Give it a shot. Give it a shot. What do you have to lose?
true.
Publish that
Never
book.
know.
See if you can make that film, because it's both easier and harder to be your own creator, but you have to establish your brand on your own. Um, you have to figure that out, because if no one knows about your product, and you work so hard on your product, no one's going to see it. So you have to work on
That's true.
your brand. You have to make sure that people know about your stuff, and promote. So
Right.
always make sure you
Right.
have that relatively established before you put out a product. Before you put out a
Right.
product. I'm speaking from firsthand experience, because
Right.
unfortunately, I have some bad news about my book. Now, unfortunately,
What happened?
my publisher. Now, be wary of any sort of book publisher that mentions the term InstaSpark, that website, because they basically put my book Dead Girl, which is an independent horror story I had written, on basically a dead platform, and it left it dead in the water, and I could not promote it. I
Sorry to
tried.
hear that, man.
I had mentioned it on the podcast, and for those of you that that bought it when it was available on Amazon. I thank you. That means a lot.
Right.
And it's not perfect. Listen, if I could hire a different editor for that project, I would. So it's not perfect. It's got a little bit of spelling errors, but that's okay. If you guys enjoyed the story,
Right.
thank you. But warning, if anybody offers you InstaSpark or any sort of product, any sort of platform that farms your book out, but you're not directly in control of the promotion, think about maybe not doing business with that person. Because now
Right.
I'm working on getting it republished on my own. Because that my publisher just decided, or InstaSpark, more accurately, just decided one day, we're nixing your book. We're not promoting. We're not selling your book. So it is no longer available on Amazon, unfortunately. But I'm working on putting it back on Amazon myself. I don't know when it's going to be done. I'm doing all the editing and all the stuff myself. So please be patient.
Right.
We'll have it out to you.
Right.
And just to put it out there, I'm also kind of spitballing the idea of turning both books, because I have a sequel planned. For those of you that have read the first book and I bought the first book and want more, I have a sequel planned. I'm just spitballing the idea of possibly turning both into graphic novels. So if there's any sort of independent artist that's looking to get out there, I figured I'd just put it out there. I am looking for a graphic design artist. But
sorry to hear about your book not being published.
It happens. It happens.
Promoted.
Right. But that's why you have to be worried. You have to be wary of publishers. You have to kind of use your head. If they're saying, "Oh, X," you have to do X, and or pay this money up front. Just use your head and think, and keep in mind, in terms of publishing something like a book, you can do it yourself. So try, if you can, to do most of the things yourself. That way you're in control. You have the rights, whatever. Thankfully they never took the rights from me. I have the rights to my own book, but in terms of promotion, they really messed up. In terms of editing, they really messed up.
As a little spoof joke right here, Mel Brooks is the producers can make more money with the flop than the hit.
Yes, yeah, that can be true.
Yeah, but cheer you up a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, that's okay. Listen, I'd much rather be in control of the promotion of my own product than be at the mercy of some third-party website any day. And like I said, it's a warning for independent creators that are looking for publishers. Never work with a publisher by the name of Savvy Book Marketing. They won't steal your money, but they'll do a quote unquote half-ass job, and you'll be up the creek without a paddle.
Gotcha.
Be wary, my friends. Anyways, don't give up. That's not an indictment to give up. That's just sometimes you gotta try again.
But anyway. I'm not sure if I mentioned this before. I did a documentary for one of my film classes. It was a documentary auditory processing disorder, which is a learning disorder that I still suffer from a lot to this day, as from being a kid to an adult.
Right.
And I wanted to I used what I could to make it. It wasn't perfect, but I did it, no matter what the quality was.
I didn't realize for the longest time personally that you suffered from auditory processing. So when you made that documentary, it's on your channel. It's on Johnny Buff Guns.
It is on my channel. Yes.
Okay.
It is. It's on my channel.
That are interested, we'll plug that in there. Like I said, if you're looking for more reviews, more of what Mr. Johnny Buff Guns can offer, check out his channel.
Yes,
you'll find some great stuff. He's a great editor, and possibly might be a good film director someday. I would love to see it.
I hope so. That would be cool. That would be
Fingers
awesome
crossed.
to direct.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
You know,
because I hope to
but
direct a horror film I have in mind, but I want to give it away what the idea is. I'll just say that there is a horror movie I'm writing down that I've had in mind for quite some time. That's all I'm going to say right there.
yeah, well, I have horror stories, so you know, to each his own. You
Right.
know, that's why I say don't ever give up on your. You know, this is again to the audience, sounding like a broken record, but you know, never give up on your idea, despite on what you think about it. It might be in your desk on a loose leaf piece of paper. That's how I started my first book. I was 14 years old. I had an idea.
Wow.
You know, it was on Halloween, and I wrote it down, and I kept working on it. It took a long time to do it, but you know, I published it. It was up there for a while, but now we have to publish it again, and it's fine. It's fine. You know, so,
right.
whatever.
Even like here's another like similar J.K. Rowling's like Harry Potter got rejected many times, though somebody said to her, "Oh yeah, we love this idea, Harry Potter."
Right, and that's what I say. Is like whatever your idea is, you know, in terms of independent creators, whether it's a movie or you know, story, whatever, you know, go for it, because you know, me as a consumer of media, I'd be cheering you on.
Right.
Sure. I say that with all sincerity.
Right. Yeah. One more thing I want to touch upon. I went to another con recently. I met Eddie Munster and Marilyn Munster. I met Fred Williamson, who was a very popular actor from the 70s of blaxploitation. He was really cool. And I also met Bai Ling, who was in The Crow, and she was really super cool and very nice. She loved my fan dedication to The Crow. She loved the T-shirt I wore. Well, I'm not wearing it, but I had a Crow T-shirt of Brandon Lee, and
right, and that's what it's about. And that's what it's about. And that's what this podcast is about. It's about fandoms, real fans. You know, and that's why we do this for you guys.
I met Sybil Shepherd. I met Sybil Shepherd. You may recognize from Taxi Driver. She was in the show Moonlighting with Bruce Willis, and she was okay. I'm not that to badmouth her. I just was not getting a good vibe. Like, yeah, she does not look like she's not like want to be here, but it is what it is. What can you do?
Yeah, some actors and actresses are like that. You know, listen, it's a catch-22.
Yeah. William Shatner was there, but I'm like, no thanks. I have no interest or desire to ever meet this guy or give him my money. No, I'm not that desperate. I'm not a.
He might sing to you.
What's that?
He might sing to you.
Yeah. Because I mean, no disrespect to Trekkies, but I just. What's that?
I said, I'm a rocket man. I'm a rocket man.
Oh, right. I forget. Shatner is a singer. I forgot about that.
Well, let's put it in quotations here. A singer. He's a singer. Not a good one, but a singer.
I don't know. I don't know what he's done. Like, I really have never.
He's done
I never really kept up with like Shatner.
He's done a bunch of covers. They're not good. They're the same as Rocket Man. You know, he's not he's in on the joke. He knows he's fantastic. Okay,
right?
He's in on the joke.
Well,
and that's why I love him.
When me and my dad were watching an episode, the original Star Trek show, from the 60s, I'm like laughing myself. Shatner is not a good actor. I hate to say it.
Well, yeah. I mean, he came from a drama class. And
right.
And for lack of a better term, it wasn't the best. There are moments where he can moat pretty good, but his delivery of certain lines,
his delivery sucks.
Not the best. But Star Trek is very important in terms of
for sci-fi and culture.
Yeah.
I did like Next Generation and some of the films they did, like Wrath of Khan was good, Search for Spock was good.
Wrath of Khan was great. I've always been a fan of Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine has always been my favorite.
I didn't see that one.
Well, it's much more grounded. It's less. It's probably the less Trekky like if like science mumbo jumbo and what makes Star Trek, like kind of geeky, kind of turns you off. Deep Space
Right.
Nine is a happy medium where it kind of feels like a space western. It kind of
Right,
feels
gotcha.
like, yeah, and that's what I like about it.
Right.
It's less it's less sort of tech. It's less sort of nerdy and more sort of you have a lot of grounded sort of more relatable characters. If that makes sense. And I'm not
Right.
bashing TNG. I'm not bashing Next Generation or the original. But I'm saying in terms of what I prefer, what I like Deep Space Nine. I like how grounded it is. I can't speak today.
Right.
Um,
That's okay. Like I said, I've never seen it. I don't have a comment to say about it. I know about it from a friend of mine likes that show a lot.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a good show. But anyway, John, is there anything you want to touch upon before we sign off?
No, I think we just about summed up everything. We covered everything. So even though despite I didn't have a notes down, but still, it just came
Yeah,
to my mind when we
it was a
were
little
going.
fast and loose today, and thank you for bearing
Yeah.
with us, folks. Sometimes
No
we
problem.
stumble all over each other. We're not professionals. We're just
No.
guys. We're just nerdy guys that
Nerds.
love pop culture
Nerd.
and just love to talk about it.
Yeah. Nerd and proud to be a nerd.
Yes, exactly. But anyway, I am Wolfman Sam here with my co-host Johnny Buff Guns, and this has been Creatures of the Night. We'll see you all next time.